All right, we're going to talk about me, Mike, the Middleman Check. I did a episode on independent. I actually am in a group with my cousin New Legends, which is G13. I think this is episode 7 or 8. And we did do an episode together, but I wanted to split us up because we're actually independent artists or individual artists on our own. And I kind of wanted to highlight, I guess, my journey as far as being an independent artist and kind of the ups and downs that came with it. Like, I think I had quite a few highlights, as far as being an independent artist, and I had quite a few down moments as well. And we're telling it in a group setting. We want to kind of capture basically the story as a whole, as a unit together. But I wanted to tell my story a little bit on what was happening, and in my independent grind, I just, I was actually the one that created the series because I thought basically a lot of people don't really understand what happens when you're an independent artist. And the more I understand the business, I think the more I wanted to highlight what artists go through, especially doing it by themselves, because a lot of times artists think that the music and I guess the process of making dope music is going to be the key to success. And when I started diving into the business aspect of it, what I noticed is that it's not necessarily the hot song that's going to get you on. It's kind of maybe the connections, maybe what you know, how you can get the music out there, and things like that. Um, and I wanted to highlight that a little bit. So I don't necessarily look at my independent episode as like a highlight of being an artist in the music. I kind of look at it as maybe a closure of an artist in the music. I've recorded quite a few songs myself. And in building my Kayatick brand, I am really looking into more of an executive role because I see the highlight and the benefit of making music and getting the information together for artists so that they can understand what it is to make music and and kind of, I guess, give that information out so people can kind of use it and kind of utilize it how they want to. So I did want to kind of, I guess this would be like an exit interview, right? If you're going to get fired from a job, I was using independent for me as a kind of an exit interview to say, like, look, this is my story. This is kind of what's going through. Here are my ups and here are my downs. Like I said, in my music career, I've had some crazy highs, man. It's been great to perform with my cousin. It's been great to travel. I think music has provided me a way to travel all throughout the United States, do my craft. I think it's been one of the probably the most beneficial things in my life. One of the most memorable memories, besides maybe having my kids, my family. I think that's probably been one of the most beneficial things in my life. But I think it comes to a time when I'm noticing, just in doing homework and details of what it is with music, where the music direction is going, and I think I'm kind of conscious of what it needs to be as far as an artist or even as a businessman. So before I would get a lot of, like I said, when I was doing music, I would get a lot of fulfillment out of telling my story through a musical path, and now I get the same fulfillment out of actually developing the business and being a platform and a place to provide people for music. And that's what I tell and say in my actual interview. I'm letting people know, like, hey, this is my music experience here, but what I'm actually starting to understand, what I actually like, is I'm actually enjoying building the business and having a platform just for artists, and not just music artists, but I wanted to do films when I was very young. I wanted to make music. I wanted to be in the entertainment space. And I think what I'm learning is that, even though I still will probably make music, I don't know if I'll be really producing it or putting it out publicly for other people to see. Music does help me get a lot of my thoughts off and a lot of, things that I want to say eternally that I will never say to anybody else. So I do think I will still make music in some capacity, but the fulfillment of actually being a businessman and converting from a musician to a businessman and understanding exactly what it is to, put your time, your heart, your passion, your drive into the music, and try and get some kind of I guess reciprocation from it. A lot of times what I notice is that people don't value music. I see that music is being less and less valued over time, and artists, I don't know, as me as an artist, you kind of don't, you get caught up in that, right? You don't really notice that maybe people are just using it as some background noise for a video that they're trying to use. There's famous, dances that are going along and things like that. So music is kind of a utility now, where when I was coming up, it was something that we lived and died for, right? I get an album and I'll listen to it back and forward and forward and back until I memorize the whole album. And it's not like that anymore. It's actually more of a utility. It's very digestible. People take it in, and they're waiting for the new thing right now. And I wanted to create my company around the artist, so I want to give the artists. Not only do I want to gather information about what's happening with music and how people are receiving music, but I also want it to be a place where it was going to be, when you come to Kayatick, this is what it is. This is we are catering to artists and their fans, and that's kind of like our broad audience that we're looking for. That's what we're trying to zero down to. So my episode of Independent was more of me talking about uh, slowing down my music career. Even though I love rhyming, I think I'm one of the nicest. You know what I'm saying? I think I have the greatest bars. Maybe that's just be a selfish thing as far as a musician, but I think I'm really nice on the mic, and I really do enjoy the process of creating a song and creating an album and creating the album cover and watching everything go from finish to end. But in that same note, I still enjoy building a business, and I get the same kind of benefit out of creating the business, creating the project, creating the getting to the people, finding out what kind of information the people want to see, and I talk about that as far as me being a musician, as well as my musician story. I think it kind of ends kind of in a tragedy at some point, because I did this with the thought of other things in mind as far as like family, and the way it ended was not exactly how I had in my mind. So not only do I enjoy making music, but I've actually got sacrificed a lot for music, and I've lost a lot by doing music in itself. You know what I'm saying? Just personally. So I kind of feel like I'm too far to go back at this point, but I do get a good gratification out of creating this content and creating a business where we highlight musicians and films. And as I'm getting into my more executive bag, I just highlight that in my music career. And like I said, I don't think my episode of Independent is an origin story of what's happening. I think my episode of Independent is more of a closure of what's happening, and as I'm moving into the next stage of what I want to do as an artist and as as an executive artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of being an executive in this business, and that's the space I want to get into. So if you get a chance, definitely check out my episode. It's probably the longest episode in there because I think I had a lot to say. I was really kind of just talking to the mic and the camera and just spilling my guts about everything, how I felt about the situation. But definitely go ahead and check out my episode of Independent on Chaotic Styles. Like I said, it's hard work that we put together on this. I wanted to put together something, this whole series was kind of like an idea of mine that spawned to let people know exactly what it is, exactly what it takes to become a musician, especially an independent artist, and what you put up with and what you go through. So check me out, Mike the Middleman Check, and my episode of Independent coming up, or it's actually out now. So go peep it, man. The support is always welcome.